Welcome back to part 5 in the evolution of plants. In this episode we are looking at glyphosate, also known as Roundup. It's a very, very popular herbicide and it is used in large quantities in our environment. It started being used first of all in 1950 as a chelating agent. Discovered by a guy called Henry Martin, who was a Swiss chemist, and he used it to clean pipes and clean boilers because it has an ability to grab onto metal ions like copper and zinc, calcium, and these are things that sometimes cause scale inside pipes and inside boilers, and so it could be used to flush out that scale. In 1970s, it was found that it had herbicidal properties by a chemist called John E. Franz, who worked for Monsanto. It was patented in 1971 and introduced to the market as Roundup in 1974. In 1996, we had the release of Roundup Ready crops, and these were crops that could be sprayed with the Roundup and not affected. And from 1996 to basically today, they are working on combining now various herbicides into crop resistance. So not just glyphosate, but also things like 2,4-D and dicamba. Because in the meantime, what's happened since 1996 is we have the weeds that have become Roundup resistant. So there's about 50 weeds that have become resistant to the Roundup. So now farmers need to put an extra chemical in there to kill all the weeds. In 2002, glyphosate was used as a desiccant to harvest crops. So this is a practice where farmers will spray their crop before harvest to hasten the harvesting of the grain, and so therefore it's just sprayed liberally onto the plant, and this will kill the plant, but then the plant can be cropped and the grains can be taken earlier. I find that this is a bit of a doubtful practice, and I don't think it's a good practice. It's not always done on crops, but it is quite common on things like wheat, barley, oats, canola, soybeans, corn, cotton, peas, lentils, sunflowers, sugar beets and millet. Now it's just to point out that you can't use this desiccation practice on Roundup Ready crops because Roundup Ready crops are not affected by Roundup. So it's only on the ones that are not Roundup Ready. So wheat at this stage is in development to be Roundup Ready as a Roundup Ready crop, but it hasn't actually been put in that zone yet. There's a bit of a controversy on whether it should be or not. In 2010, glyphosate was used as patented as an antibiotic, and when we look at the action of this on the plants, this becomes interesting. It's a mode of action to kill the plant. But at this stage, we'll just finish the history of it. So in 2015, we have the recognition of glyphosate as a probable carcinogen, and in particular, we're looking at non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer that affects the white blood cells and can cause swellings and not very pleasant cancer. And then we've got, in 2018, we've got acquisition of Monsanto by Bayer, and then they taking on the legal part of the legal battles for Monsanto. In 2020s, we've got more legal battles, more actions, more people taking them to court for cancers and health problems. So what is glyphosate? Glyphosate is glycine, that's the gly bit, which is an amino acid. Glycine is amino acid. What are amino acids? Amino acids, once they are in chain, proteins are made up of 20 amino acids, and they form complex chains. So glyphosate, the gly is the glycine, the phosphate is a phosphorus compound that's joined to the glycine. It has a few different mechanisms to kill plants. The first one, I guess you could say, is through the shikimate pathway. So it stops the production of 3 essential amino acids, and these are tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine. And these are amino acids that are essential for the stability and function of proteins, including growth hormones and things like that. So once that's shut down, it shuts down the protein making of the plant, and the plant dies. There's also other actions on the plant that helps to kill the plant. So the first one also is chelation. So when the plant is sprayed with Roundup, it is taken into the plant systemically, which means it's just absorbed into the green parts of the leaf, and then it drains the plant of essential minerals. These are the metals like calcium, magnesium, manganese. A lot of these essential elements are used for photosynthesis and the activity of enzymes and structural integrity. Now, the action, once the Roundup is flushed out the roots, it then affects the soil and the soil bacteria. So the beneficial bacteria around the roots, which help to break down organic matter, they are killed. So the plant no longer can bring in the nutrients. And it also has an ability to go easy and not affect many of the pathogens in the soil. And these pathogens then increase in numbers, and the plant is attacked by the pathogens. These are the bad bacteria. So glyphosate is a very, very effective weed killer, and it's much more effective than other herbicides on the market, including the organic ones. I've used some of the organic ones, and they really are not very effective at killing things. And the ones I used were actually smelt very, very badly, as in they didn't seem very good and not very effective. There's other ones that are available on the market like paraquat. Paraquat is a very, very toxic chemical, as in when you drink it, it causes death very quickly. So that is sometimes used as a desiccant on sweet potatoes and potatoes. So that's a bit of a worry too. And then, so you've got other chemicals like atrazine. Again, have got environmental consequences when they get into the waterways of affecting amphibians. So what are some of the other problems with glyphosate? They probably could be summed up in the fact that, one, they affect the soil and the bacteria in the soil, which then also has an effect on the bacteria in our guts, as in the bacteria in our guts can be affected by glyphosate. It affects soil organisms, including worms, which can affect drainage and uptake from other plants. It has potential health risks, so it can cause, it's believed to be a probable cause of cancer. And we've got plants that are developing herbicide resistance. In the meantime, the farmers are using increasing amounts on the environment. There was 8.6 billion tons of it used from 1974 to 2014 globally. And that's just increasing every year, because as they need more to kill the weeds. It disrupts ecosystems. It's believed to have an effect on bees and insects, birds. It can contaminate water bodies. It's in our systems now, as in it will come down in rain. It's in the soil. It's in the food we eat. In the EPA results for New Zealand, there was out of 60 or so wheat crops, there was 20 that were above the standard amount, and some of them well above the standard amount. So about a third of the crops were affected by the Roundup above the regulated amounts, and the regulated amounts are set quite high. So we've got the EPA in different countries that are responsible for protecting the environment, and they have pretty much ignored most of the legal and law cases, stating pretty much that they are happy with glyphosate and that the positives outweigh the negatives. In some ways, I guess that is possibly true, as in the alternative chemicals available, one, are not effective, or two, are more toxic than glyphosate. So there is a little bit of a Hobson's choice, I guess, in using it. But I certainly think overall it's been used increasingly too much. The desiccation of plants, I think, is a very big negative. It's so much a negative that Kellogg's, the cereal makers, have decided to basically ban desiccated crops from their production of their cereals in 2025. So that's a good sign that a business like that are taking notice of the problems in the environment that this chemical is causing. Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.